15th to the 21st of June, the Atmanirbhar edition of last week tonight. All right, good. Good to see all of you here. Good afternoon. As you know, that Water Week is now running in conjunction with Water Day, which is a daily newspaper coverage in the form of MCQs, which happens at 9:15 p.m. And I will see most of you in the evening at 9:15 as well. This is a weekly edition, and we're going to be doing the weekly coverage from 15th to the 21st of June. Now, before we start, you would notice that I have pinned the link of the UPSC Summit. I will talk more about this towards the end of the class once we have enough people here so that everybody gets to understand what this is and the link to join. And a lot of questions were how to join, how to register, and things like that. Okay, so let's begin with what we need to cover from the last week. Okay, so just a larger context of things as to what we're doing and how we're essentially going about it. And as I have promised, we're slowly starting to deliver on the larger issues. So as you know, Water Week is, for the mains, covers newspapers and other important current affairs developments in an analytical manner to largely cover things in a larger context. This, on a daily basis, gets supplemented with Water Day, and this essentially gives you a sense of what to read and what not to read in the paper, and cross-checks your newspaper coverage in the form of MCQs. As I had promised you last week, I have now started scheduling the special classes, which are also going to be free for Supreme Court judgments, as was requested by a lot of you, conventional as well as contemporary. Fourth, again, special classes for constitutional bodies, because I was told there was a larger problem with those things. And fifth, started working on a portal on a completely free website or in the form of notes, where all your mains issues in a consolidated 250, 300 word assimilation form would be given to you by September. I have shortlisted 58 issues. I'm going to try and club them and put them all together so this will all work. And you'd have absolute access to all of those things. I'll repeat this. All of this is entirely free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for it. And I'll make sure that all of this is given to you throughout the year and you don't have to worry about it. Okay? Chalo. Let's begin. So, the last week was relatively better than the week before, but not as intense as the week before the week before. Now, there were two primary issues that were kept up here, but here's the thing. Anti-defection law was in the news indirectly because of the numbers and the politics of numbers in Rajya Sabha and how it gets elected. And Rajya Sabha gets elected from the states. Kuldeep, I've said this every class. Please wait for me to finish. Unless I've asked you to respond, please don't. It breaks the flow of the class because I read every comment in the question box or otherwise. Okay? Right. So thank you. So Rajya Sabha gets elected from the states. Now, there were issues with respect to elections in specifically the state of Manipur, which compromises the election of a political party and representatives of it to the Rajya Sabha, primarily the BJP. Because Manipur essentially was a very close election call in 2017. In the background of it, the anti-defection law and its utility comes to the fore, and we must understand the broad details of it and how to go about it and what not to do and what to do. This week, you will see a Rajya Sabha editorial which was there yesterday. I'll couple this up with Venkaiah Naidu's analysis of the Rajya Sabha as an institution in Water Week next week so that we have closure on the Rajya Sabha, and that's pretty much it. Then alternate dispute resolution, which is essentially resolving disputes by not going to courts, was in the form of an editorial, specifically targeting online mediation. So it's a good time to sort of put all of it into perspective and see from a mains point of view what does need to be written as far as an answer on alternate dispute resolution is concerned. There were specific concepts and data points which were also mentioned over the last week. I've picked up a few of those and I'll discuss them in a brief amount of detail. Solar eclipse, and everybody went crazy over it. Yoga Day, again, everybody went crazy over it. The unfortunate and untimely demise of one of India's most promising actors, Sushant Singh Rajput, brought to the fore the larger issue of mental health and suicide. So Section 309, which is about attempt to suicide, was put in the main fray, and we'll discuss what is the legal status on attempt to suicide and a side note on a larger issue of mental health care. India got finally re-elected to the UN Security Council, so it's important to understand Security Council reforms from one of those ends. And second is, how does the election to the United Nations Security Council happen? Akhoni was reported in the newspapers and is also a very popular Netflix movie which was released about a week and a half ago. So there. And then dexamethasone and TrueNat are developments with respect to COVID. One is a medicine and the other is a test. Clear? Okay? All right. So let's begin. Let us start with anti-defection law. Now, anti-defection law is extremely important both for the prelims and the mains. You get basic concepts / technical details in the pre, and you get an analytical question on anti-defection law in the mains. Okay? Now, what does this mean? This means there have been questions asked in the previous year on anti-defection law. Clear? I've attached slides also. I'm going to do a full structure on this in the process of today's class. So let's start. This is your larger structure to anti-defection law, a consolidated note which covers pre as well as mains. Your introduction is your legal aspects and recent developments. As you would know, the anti-defection law has been inserted through the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1985. This also led to the insertion of the 10th schedule. I will discuss this in a brief amount of detail in about a minute or two. And the 91st Constitutional Amendment made some changes and in fact made the law relatively more strict. Okay. Recently, there have been several issues in the entire ecosystem across various states, where a lot of the issues around anti-defection law was brought to the fore. Okay, is this all right? Is this fine? Yes? All right. Good. So, recent examples would be the Manipur elections, 2017, Madhya Pradesh very recently, Maharashtra, not really a defection, but the instability of government to be formed poses larger questions on moving and unmoving of MPs, and largely the Karnataka election, to which the Supreme Court had also given a judgment. Clear on this? Now, please understand this very, very clearly. Sakshi, please stop commenting unless I'm asking for a response. Just pay attention, grab what is being taught. If I ask for something, then respond. Thank you. I've told this to you before also. Clear? Okay. Now, I've given you these options. Even if you write one or two examples, and that is it. I don't need you to mention the technical details of the examples as well. Even if you write just one line, that the recent political developments in Manipur and Karnataka bring the larger questions of anti-defection law to the limelight is more than enough. Am I clear on this? I do not need you to know the technical details of what happened. I just need you to know that this was a reference point because of which there is a larger discussion on anti-defection law. Clear on this? Good. Then your body. Simple. What are the grounds for it? What are the exemptions in it? And who decides? You will find them in a very simple format written in Lakshmikant. You will also see a reading list that I have given you on the Telegram channel on what to read and what not to read, specifically page number, chapter number wise in Lakshmikant. Okay? Judgments, you can give some contemporary judgments and some classic landmark judgments. I mentioned a few. The Supreme Court in the context of Manipur and the Supreme Court in the Karnataka election, which essentially was reinstating what was already the case. That if you have been defected and you have been proven to be defected, then you can still contest an election after the new election, during the process of the new election. This does not change anything. Once a legislator has been disqualified, the disqualified legislature can recontest an election. This was always the case. The Supreme Court just reinstated it. Okay? And of course, the two cases of Kihoto Zolohan and Ravi Nayak would be enough. Okay? All right. Next. You then look at a cost-benefit analysis. What are the advantages of having it? What are the disadvantages of having it? This is a cost-benefit analysis. Clear? You will look at the current criticism of anti-defection law. Does it really help? Is it really serving its purpose? Is it compromising something? And then finally, you will look at solutions or measures to make anti-defection law better. Clear on this? I'll cover each of these together. I want to do a little bit of a deep dive discussion into this because I think it's been a long time since anti-defection law has been done. Does this make sense? Is the structure clear? Okay. The structure again has been prepared by a very, very hardworking student, and that's how I've used the same structure, and I said, let me just teach you with something that you have prepared. Simple enough. Clear on this? Understood? So you have your introduction, you have your body, and you have your conclusion. Clear on this? All the key provisions are here. All the key points are here. Right? Now, let's take a microscope and deep dive into it. Now, should I discuss anti-defection law in a little bit of detail? Shall I teach you the whole thing? It will take me about 15-20 minutes. Yes? We'll quickly revise. Yes? Sure. So, let's start. So, just sit back. This is a proper lecture on anti-defection, and let's understand how this works. Okay? Just let it happen. All right. Let's begin. What is defection? Very simply speaking, defection means dhoka. Defection means katna. That's all that is meant by defection. If somebody has a shift of loyalty from A to B, that is called defection. Now, it can happen in any way. It can happen in any stream. For example, in international geopolitics, you would say that, say, Canada is very loyal to the United States. But given United States policies of late, if Canada decides to not support United States, then it would be a defection at the international level. If somebody belongs to a religion and changes their religion, then you've defected from religion A to religion B. For those of you who are sports fans, so if players of a football club or an IPL cricket team move from one team to another team, that is sports defection, right? Now, when we look at the context of political defection, okay, that is what is needed. Political defection is the change of party affiliation or allegiance by a member of a legislature. That's all. The change of party affiliation or allegiance by a member of legislature. This means you are attached to a party and you have won an election because of that party. So you can't betray the people who helped you get where you are. So it's very simply a transfer of loyalty. Clear? Simple enough? Yes? Understood this? Good. Now you must understand very simply, why does this come about? Why did we randomly talk about it? Because if you know, we mentioned something called the 52nd Constitutional Amendment of 1985. This proves that anti-defection law was not an original part of the Constitution. When we set up the Constitution, we were very well aware and we wanted to respect the rights of our legislators. We wanted to respect the free will of our legislators. But whenever there is freedom, there is always a chance, an opportunity of the abuse of that freedom. So something happened, something changed, and India said that we need to have a law that stops defection in the first place. And that is why you must understand from a larger context, where does this happen? And you must also understand that this is not just something that happens in India. It happens anywhere and everywhere in the world. The idea of defection, the idea of political party representatives, elected representatives, shifting loyalties from one end to the other is very common all across the world. In the UK, in the US, Canada, Australia, France, Germany, everywhere you see it happens. If you see this man's photo, this person is called Winston Churchill, one of the most well-known politicians across the world. Even somebody as staunch as Winston Churchill has also known to have defected from his old original party multiple number of times. So defection is something which happens in the West as well as happens in the East. But there's a difference. And let me explain this difference with an example. The ex-Prime Minister of England, right? The ex-Prime Minister of England, Theresa May, right? She was essentially the Prime Minister when England was in the heat of the Brexit debate. Now, she presented a proposal. She presented a proposal on the floor of the Parliament. And that, what she presented on the floor of the Parliament, right, was rejected by her own legislators. MPs of the same political party as the Prime Minister rejected the Prime Minister's proposal on Brexit. The opposition thought this was a great opportunity to raise a no-confidence motion. The opposition did, but the no-confidence motion failed. So what does this mean? This means on one hand, the MPs of the majority party did not believe in the Brexit proposal, but absolutely believed in the capability of the Prime Minister to head the party and the country as a whole. This is what is called the essence of democracy. Boys and girls, please do not comment when the class is going on. Let me explain this. Okay? Thank you. Just listen. You will learn better. If you've done this before, it will revise. Okay? Thank you. So this is the essence of parliamentary democracy, where every parliamentarian has two jobs. One, to assist in the national lawmaking, and second is to present the grievances of their constituency in the parliament. And this can often be a conflict. So that is why you need to secure the freedom of MPs. But if you look largely in the South Asian part of the world, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Singapore, or even the African part of the world, the South African country and Kenya, you will notice that there are specific laws on anti-defection. And one of the reasons this happens is because the South Asian part of the world is relatively a younger democracy with below average literacy rates, with people not purely understanding the very essence of why parliamentary democracy exists. And therefore, what we end up doing is enforcing anti-defection law. So something would have happened. And what happened in India was nothing short of unfortunate. This. If you know that the law happened in 1985, okay, The law happened in 1985. Between 1967 to 1972, India was flooded with cases of anti-defection. Flooded. Which meant about 2,000 cases of defection and counter-defections happened across 4,000 MPs and MLAs collectively. In 1967, so defection is you move from an opposition party to the ruling party. And one of the greed that is given to you is you move and we'll make you a minister. You would be able to see this in the Manipur case, where defection happened, and one of the people who defected was given a berth in the ministerial position in Manipur. In Manipur. In 1967, out of the 210 members of legislature who defected, 116 were made ministers. Matlab, this was corruption in your face. The opposition party, छोड़ो हमारे पास आओ हम मंत्री बना देंगे. और मंत्री किसको नहीं बनना? सबको मंत्री बनना. Correct? So around this period of time, at least half of our legislators had defected once. And the government said, boss, this isn't right. Because you can't count on your own people. This is not why you were given the freedom to do what you want to do, right? And that is how they tried twice in 73 and 78 but failed. And finally in 1975, the anti-defection law was put into place. Okay? And this is how the law evolved. Enacted in 1985, 2 Supreme Court judgments gave some interpretations to the law. And there were some changes that were made to the law through the 91st Constitutional Amendment 2003. Now, you know, the relationship between an article and a schedule is the same relationship between a university and a college. An article can exist without a schedule. A university can exist without a college. But a schedule cannot exist without a corresponding article, and a college cannot exist without a corresponding university, right? So, when you enact the 52nd Amendment of 1985, you also have to add lines in the articles. Articles 101 and 102, which talk about disqualifications to MPs, and 190 and 191, which talk about disqualifications to MLAs. And here, you add one line. For further disqualifications, refer to the 10th schedule. Clear? Quixote Zolohan versus Chillu are 2 people. A case was filed against an election petition. Ravi Nayak again was a case which was filed with respect to an election petition. This is, I think, in Maharashtra. And this is largely how the Supreme Court said, let me give you interpretations to the law, because the Supreme Court is the final interpreter of the Constitution. This is a part of the Constitution. So the primary law was enacted through the 52nd Amendment. 2 Supreme Court verdicts implemented it, and an additional amendment happened in the 91st Amendment 2003 to make certain changes. This is the evolution of law. This is your introduction. Do you now understand this? Enacted via the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1985, the Supreme Court has given 2 major interpretations to Quixote and Ravi Nayak, and amendments were made by the 91st CA of 2003. This is a introduction. This is your first line. Understood this? Clear enough? Good. So this basically means if an MP or an MLA commits defection, the person has to be punished. And what is the best punishment you can give them? You can disqualify them from being an MP and an MLA. Now the point is, defection is not the only way to remove MPs or MLAs, right? Disqualification is not the only way to remove MPs or MLAs. In fact, this is a part of a larger game called disqualifications, right? there are three ways in which MPs get disqualified. One, things which are mentioned in the Constitution directly. Second is supportive law called the Representation of People's Act, and I will teach this separately to you through the course of special classes. And third is anti-defection law. And we are going to be talking about anti-defection law. Clear on this? Now, if you notice carefully, whenever an MP is removed on the grounds of bare text of the Constitution or the Representation of People's Act, this MP is disqualified by the President on the advice of the Election Commission of India. While if an MP is disqualified or an MLA is disqualified on the basis of anti-defection law, this is done by the Speaker. There must be a reason behind this. The reason why the President decides here is because of separation of powers and checks and balances. The judiciary cannot get involved because this would violate separation of powers. The elected executive can't be involved because of conflict of interest. The legislature cannot be asked to remove a member of their own because, again, conflict of interest. The only person who is connected to all the three branches of government and is apolitical by law and is necessarily apolitical by law is the President of India, and that is why the President decides on advice of an autonomous and independent constitutional body in charge of elections in the first place, called the Election Commission of India. Clear on this? Okay, right? Now we're going to focus here. Anti-defection law. Okay, now I'm going to teach you something very important. I'm going to teach you a structure for any law which penalizes. Okay, surrogacy, transgenders, anything which penalizes, any law which has a criminal element to it. Your answer structure for it is three things. This is your note structure, your consolidated note structure for any legal, any law-specific analysis. What are the grounds? Who decides? What are the exceptions? Are the grounds good enough? Is the authority good enough? Are the exceptions good enough? And what can we do to make all of these better? Are we able to see all of this together? Yes. So how this works is, when you look at a consolidated note structure on a law, you always divide your entire note into three parts: grounds, authority, and exceptions. What are the grounds? Where is the problem? And how do you solve them? This becomes your conclusion. This becomes your body. And introduction is always context. Clear? Samajh mein aa gaya? Understood this? Right. So anti-defection law happens in four ways. One, voluntarily giving up membership of the House, disobeying party directives, an independent MP or an MLA joining a party, and a nominated member joining after 6 months. Now, why does a nominated member get 6 months? Because the nominated member was not chosen because of his or her political affiliation. And a nominated member also has the right to political association under Article 90. But you can restrict fundamental rights because they're not absolute. You give them 6 months. And why 6 months? Because at least once every 6 months, the houses of legislatures have to meet. So you've given them some time. You've given them an opportunity to interact with each other. You've given them an opportunity to know each other. And that's how it works. Now the Supreme Court will come in and will give you interpretations to these through their judgments. Do you understand this? Now the Supreme Court comes and says, oh, this is what is meant by voluntarily giving up. This is what constitutes disobeying. This is the conditions for independent. This is the larger explanation to nominated. Understood this? Clear enough? Okay. And the presiding officer of the House decides, and it can only decide when a complaint has been filed. The presiding officer does not have suo motu powers. And the reason why the presiding officer does not have suo motu powers is because this would otherwise lead to vendetta, right? then the speaker would effectively disqualify all members of the opposition and the government will pay parliament. That is why. Clear? And at the end of the day, this is a quasi-judicial process. An inquiry has to be made and discussions have to be done and all of those things have to be explained. So in that case, you cannot fix a timeline by law. If the presiding officer wants, they can, but there is no other reason. Vendetta means revenge. Clear? Okay? And as of today, we only have one exception to the rule, which is a merger approved by 2/3 of the party. Clear? 2/3 of the members of the party who are MPs or MLAs. Okay? Just broadly, just putting a lot of this into context for you. Clear on this? All right. Excellent. Now, you know the grounds. If you now know the grounds, you should know what are the technical details to the grounds. So, Ravi Nayak and Kihoto Zolohan have given you explanations to this. Okay? All right? So, let us see. Voluntarily giving up means a formal resignation is not necessary. तुम्हारी हरकतें ही बहुत है तुम्हारे एक्शन से. Actions speak louder than words. That is what it means. कि पूरी दिल्ली में बीजेपी वाले को चाट खाने के लिए कांग्रेस के ऑफिस के सामने वाला ही चाट मिला. Do you understand this? गलत है ना ये? ऐसे तो नहीं कर सकते कि you're a member of the BJP and you are ranting against the Congress, you're ranting against the BJP on something. कि बिहार में हुआ था with RJD and BJP. Clear on this? Okay. Understood. And just because, please understand this is very important. तुम बीजेपी से टिकट जीत के आए, लेकिन तुम हो तो लोकसभा के मेंबर. Even if the BJP has expelled you from the party, but you are still a part of the Lok Sabha because your inquiry has not been finished yet. जब तक लोक सभा के मेंबर हो और जब तक इलेक्टेड मेंबर हो पार्टी टिकट पे, तब तक पार्टी के अगेंस्ट कुछ नहीं कर सकते. क्लियर ऑन दिस? अंडरस्टूड दिस? क्लियर? Even if you've been expelled from the party, अभी तक हाउस से नहीं निकाला, नौकरी नहीं गई है, पार्टी गई है, नौकरी नहीं. मतलब तुम्हारे फ्रेंड्स, लेट अस से you have a group of 4 friends who started a startup. Now तुमको 4 friends ने अब तीनों में से एक ने ग्रुप से निकाल दिया, लेकिन कंपनी का तो पार्ट हो. जब तक कंपनी का पार्ट हो तब तक कंपनी के लिए सोचोगे. You understand this now? Do you understand the analysis? बीजेपी ने निकाल दिया तो क्या हुआ? You are not out of the house. Okay? Right? Good. Now, every house has 2 class monitors. एक गवर्नमेंट का क्लास मॉनिटर होता है, एक ऑपोजिशन का क्लास मॉनिटर होता है. इसको बोलते हैं विप. विप का काम है टू अलाइन द हाउसेस टुवर्ड्स ए स्पेसिफिक कॉज. कि सुबह वो एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप होगा, उसमें विप टेक्स्ट करेगा, भाई आज ना इंसॉल्वेंसी का वो है, इंसॉल्वेंसी का पार्लियामेंट इज गोइंग टू वोट ऑन इंसॉल्वेंसी, चुपचाप आ जाना और यस वोट कर देना. ठीक है? खोपड़ी नहीं लगाना. The rule with whip is, let me get this right. The rule with whip is, a whip can be issued for anything. Doesn't mean a whip has to be issued for everything. The noun and the verb is the same thing. The office is called whip and the action is also called a whip. So a whip represents, there's one whip for the government and there's one whip for the opposition. A whip is a member of the house. A whip is supposed to align their side towards a specific cause. That's as simple as it works. आपको पार्लियामेंट्री प्रोसीजर के अंदर घुसना ही नहीं है, बस इतना आना चाहिए कि बीजेपी वालों के लिए एक क्लास मॉनिटर है और जैसे कांग्रेस वालों के लिए एक है. क्लियर ऑन दिस? इनका काम है कि सबको बुला के एक जैसा वोट कराना. Now, a whip can be issued for everything. Doesn't mean it has to be issued for everything. इसका मतलब ये हाथ में आपके है. This is up to you. If you want to give freedom to your MPs and MLAs, don't issue a whip on something. But if you do issue a whip, the whip has to be followed. Clear on this? समझ में आया? Right? Understood this? Yes. Clear? समझ में आ रहा है? Simple. Okay? Good. तो अगर विप ने बोला है कि सुबह 10 बजे धोती पहन के आना है तो 10 बजे धोती पहन के आना है. अगर विप ने नहीं बोला तो तुम मत आ. क्लियर? ओके, अंडरस्टूड. An independent or a nominated member joining. इसमें भी the Supreme Court has said, okay, please understand this. इसमें the Supreme Court has very clearly said, swearing हो या ना हो मुझे उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मणिपुर वाले में भी बोला था ना कि जब ECI का नोटिस आ जाए, when the ECI has released the list of finalized elected candidates, तब से आपके ऊपर anti defection law लग जाएगा. Clear on this? Understood? The day you have been finally elected, you are under anti-defection law. Swearing in नहीं हो पाए, busy थे, कोई कोविड हो गया, फिर क्या करोगे? Clear on this? ठीक है? Understood this? तुम्हारी हरकतें कहीं भी हो सकती है. Outside the house, inside the house, a whip could be asking you to work a certain way. है ना? कुछ भी हो सकता है. But you will be removed from the house. Clear on this? समझ में आया? All right. So these are the grounds. Simple enough. These are the grounds. अब decide कौन करता है? Okay? रुक जाओ. Freedom of choice के बारे में बता रहा हूँ. Questions डाल दो ना भाई question box में, है ना? Shishad Kuldeep, Speaker or the presiding officer or the chairperson of the house. Please understand. Anyone, मतलब anyone can file an anti-defection petition. And the Supreme Court, and the Speaker or the presiding officer must acknowledge each. Usually क्या करते हैं? For inquiry, for investigation purposes, they refer it to the Committee of Privileges of that house. Okay? So obviously independent MPs, if they join a political party, then they're automatically defective. नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है? शांतनु question in the question box यार, कितनी बार बोलना पड़ेगा? ठीक है? समझ में आ रहा है? Okay? Next, time limit. कोई time limit नहीं. यही तो प्रॉब्लम है मणिपुर में. 2017 से चल रहा है ना ये मामला. This is going on for a very, very long time, right? There is absolutely no formal law on a time limit. If the speaker wants, if the presiding officer wants, then yes, you can. Otherwise, no need whatsoever. For example, our previous vice president had done this. He said, any issue of anti-defection law raised in the Rajya Sabha would be dismissed in 3 months. Clear? Any issue of anti-defection law raised against any member of the Rajya Sabha, हम इसको 3 महीने में खत्म करेंगे. ये हमने decide करा है because the House have the powers to regulate their own procedure. Independence of the houses. इससे क्या होता है? What happens when there is no time limit? MPs and MLAs continue to defect. वो चलता रहता है. मतलब वो मिनिस्टर भी बन जाते हैं, टर्म भी खत्म हो जाता है और पता भी नहीं चलता. Clear on this? And when defection happens in very small groups, what happens because of this is more often than not, it often gets unnoticed. Clear on this? समझ में आया? All right. Good. Now, is a decision of the speaker judicially reviewable? Yes. Absolutely. अगर वो नहीं होता तो आज का सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जजमेंट कहां से आता? समझ में आया? Clear? Understood? Now you have to be very careful with what I'm going to say next. Who decides on questions of anti-defection law? Speaker. Is the decision judicially reviewable? Yes. ये दोनों points याद रखना, because if you get this question in the prelims, this is your answer. Okay? Clear on this? All right? Understood? Upmanyu, don't do this. Delimitation orders are not under judicial review, by the way. Okay? Understood this? Clear? So everything is not under judicial review. Right. So, if you get this, I'll explain this again, don't worry. If you get a question in the prelims exam that says, in the prelims you get one of the objectives, who decides on anti-defection law? Speaker. Is an anti-defection law judgment, is an anti-defection law review available, or is a judicial review of anti-defection law available? Absolutely. Yes. The Supreme Court or the High Court can both get into this. Okay. But the Supreme Court or High Court can only intervene after the speaker has made that decision. And when the speaker is investigating a matter, it is almost like a tribunal. Witnesses have to be heard. Evidence has to be placed. Both sides have to be given an opportunity to present their point of view. Okay? और एक बार जो कमिटमेंट दे दी, सलमान खान ने भी बोला है, मैं अपने आप की नहीं सुनता. एक बार स्पीकर ने डिसाइड कर दिया कि बस अब नहीं चाहिए, मैंने बोला कि तू जा, खत्म, तो ऐसे वापस नहीं ला सकते. करेक्ट? जब डिसोल्यूशन का ऑर्डर आता है तो वो रिवर्स नहीं हो सकता, तो इसका भी ऑर्डर रिवर्स नहीं हो सकता. Clear? So when you go to the Supreme Court and High Court, what you essentially do is you ask them कि भाई ये defection नहीं था, but you do not question the procedure of the house. ये नहीं कर सकते. Because of separation of powers, the judiciary cannot look into the internal matters of the legislature. Yes or no? You can question the outcome कि सर ये तो defection था ही नहीं, ये तो गलत इन्होंने decision लिया. But the way in which they have taken that decision, this cannot be looked into by the court. ये समझ में आया? ये clear है? You can challenge the order, but you can't challenge the process through which that order happens. I'm just putting a lot of context into you. जब इतना information हो जाता है, then what happens is, then you can easily condense it into a smaller form. Grounds can be, but the process can't be. ठीक है? Clear on this? Okay. Now, advantages and disadvantages, you must also know this. Defection law, anti-defection law के advantages भी हैं. It creates a lot of stability in the government. नहीं तो लोग भागते फिरते रहेंगे. Second, it ensures party loyalty. That's also very, very important. Yes. बीजेपी ने इलेक्शन टिकट मिला ना, तुमको बीजेपी ने दिया ना, कांग्रेस ने दिया ना. Most of the people in our country won the last election because of a larger BJP background behind them, or the Modi wave, so to speak, or the Gandhi wave, so to speak, or whatever it is. तभी तो पार्टी का टिकट लेते हो, नहीं तो इंडिपेंडेंट ही खड़े हो जाते. Yes. फिर if you have got a ticket from the party, then boss, you must also respect the party. नहीं तो फिर वो हो गया ना. मतलब for example, you had such great friends who supported you in your UPSC preparation. तुम अफसर बन गए, तुमने दोस्तों को ब्लॉक कर दिया. ऐसे नहीं कर, गलत बात. Always be there for people who've been there for you during your difficult times. ठीक है? And it also, because of the whip and everything, ensures party discipline. तो ये advantages हो गए. 3 disadvantage भी हैं. Disadvantage क्या है? Was the very essence of parliamentary democracy is deliberation, is discussion. This compromises discussion and deliberation in the first place. आपने वोट्स तो सारे अलाइन कर दिए. अब स्पीकर को एमपी को अच्छा लगे आना लगे, उसको यस और नो ही करना है. वो बेचारा महाराष्ट्र का एमपी है विदर्भा से, और उसके एरिया में सुसाइड्स हो रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चरल. ठीक है? And there is a bill, let's say hypothetically, there is a bill in the parliament about commercialization of agriculture. है ना? For example, let us say अभी आत्मनिर्भर वाला हुआ, that the farmers are free to sell their setup anywhere, are not restricted to APMCs. उससे poor farmer को affect तो पड़ेगा ही ना. वो कहाँ जाके ढूंढेगा सबको? How will the poor farmer go and look for people and find people here or there? Right? Yes? Yes or no? Then the very essence of it all is gone. तुम अपने मन से वोट ही नहीं कर सकते. अगर तुम अपने मन से वोट नहीं कर सकते, if you can't vote your heart out, then boss, you have shut parliamentary democracy at its very core. That's the larger idea. Second, तुम अपने मन से कुछ बोल नहीं सकते. तुमको पता है कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये गलत किया. For example, let us say, Delhi is really bad right now with COVID. If you get some time, watch the Scoop Whoop unscripted video on the state of Delhi. What a beautifully made video. It shakes you from inside. वहाँ पे लोग हॉस्पिटल के सामने खड़े हुए रो रहे हैं बाय समधीश, यस, वो रो रहे हैं कि हमको पता ही नहीं कि हमारा रिलेटिव किधर है, पता ही नहीं. Now can an Aam Aadmi Party MLA raise their voice in the legislature of Delhi कि our government has not essentially managed COVID properly? बोल के दिखाओ, बोल के दिखाओ, राइट? क्या पॉइंट हुआ यार एमएलए होने का? तुम्हारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वेस्ट दिल्ली की नहीं है, ईस्ट दिल्ली की नहीं है, साउथ दिल्ली की नहीं है ना? फिर that is why anti-defection law is a problem. And think about it. You have so many parliamentary tools. You सुना होगा आपने adjournment motion सुना होगा. When you stop the proceedings for the day and you move to a larger discussion, है ना? Censure motion सुना होगा. No confidence motion सुना होगा. Yes? Correct? Yes or no? Then whenever there is an adjournment motion which is placed on the table of the house, the speaker adjourns the house for half an hour, a whip is issued, and now you don't have a choice but to vote for adjournment. You don't have a choice but to vote for and against censure. तुम्हारा मन नहीं था, लेकिन तुमको वोट करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि adjournment से सरकार नहीं गिर रही है, तुम्हारी नौकरी पक्का जाएगी. An adjournment will not lead to the fall of the government, but would definitely cripple you as an ecosystem for the government. समझ में आया? Clear on this, right? Understood? Clear on this? तो ये एडवांटेज हो गया, ये डिसएडवांटेज हो गया. इसका मतलब हमको एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ बेटर करना है. अब एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ बेटर करने के लिए ये है आपके रिकमेंडेशंस, इसको चुपचाप कर देना. The National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution recommends that if you have been defected and if you're holding any other public office which was not exempted under Office of Profit, तो आपको उससे भी निकाल दें. अगर वो Office of Profit के अंडर नहीं आता है, और if an MP was also a part of a committee, was a part of a joint parliamentary committee, a select parliamentary committee, something or the other, was an advisory member to an organization of the government, whatever, सब खत्म. ये हमने इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया है. NCRWC also said एंटी डिफेक्शन का गेम गवर्नमेंट गिराना नहीं है, is to showcase dissent. So if it comes across as that you're using anti-defection law provisions as to curb political opportunism, to curb politics, मतलब अगर इसको politically use कर रहे हो, मतलब उसने नो कॉन्फिडेंस में इसलिए वोट करा क्योंकि उसको सरकार गिरानी थी, तो भैया वो वोट ही इनवैलिडेट कर दो, बिकॉज तुम डिसेंट नहीं कर रहे थे, तुम सरकार गिराना चाह रहे थे. क्लियर? ठीक है. ऑब्वियसली इस पे एक्शन नहीं ले सकते बिकॉज ये बहुत वेग है. दिस इज वेरी वेरी वेग. ओके, गुड. देन इलेक्शन कमीशन. करेक्ट. इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया ने बोला कि हम करेंगे. हम बाकी दोनों में हम कर रहे हैं ना, हम बाकी दोनों में कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं? we are advising the president on Representation of People's Act and we are advising the president on constitutional provisions. ये भी हमको करने तो हमको आता है, हम पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, हमने यूपीएससी भी क्लियर किया. Obviously we haven't taken any action on it because why would anyone want to give up power? ये तो तभी होगा जब एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ में चेंज होगा. एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ में तभी चेंज होगा जब मेजॉरिटी अलाउ करेगी, मेजॉरिटी नहीं अलाउ करेगी. ठीक है. एंड द लॉ कमीशन ऑफ 1999 also said कि ये करना चाहिए. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू रिमेम्बर इन द 2019 इलेक्शंस, महागठबंधन, याद है महागठबंधन, सब हमारे रीजनल पार्टी हीरोज है ना, ऐसा हाथ खड़ा करके बोला ये वी आर टुगेदर, फिर नोबडी सीम्स टू बी टुगेदर. तो लोगों ने क्या सोचा? लोगों ने सोचा ये है एंटी एनडीए अलायंस, दे आर गोइंग टू वर्क टुगेदर. करेक्ट. उड़ गए. सो यू वोटेड फॉर वन पार्टी बिकॉज दे सीम टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ अ लार्जर अलायंस. उनका ब्रेकअप हो गया तो तुम्हारा भी ब्रेकअप हो गया. यही प्रॉब्लम होता है ना, यही इशू है. When a couple A and B breaks up, who is hurt the most? I am hurt as a friend, क्योंकि अब मेरे को कोई खाना नहीं खिलाएगा. समझ में आया? मैं तो तुम्हारा दोस्त ही इसलिए हूं क्योंकि तुम कपल हो, तुम मुझे खाना खिलाओगे. अब मुझे खाना कौन खिलाएगा? Understood this? And whip should only be used only for stability, मतलब only for stability issues. Laws पे whip मत issue कर. If there's a data protection bill, मैं guarantee करता हूँ, when the data protection bill will be tabled in the parliament, a whip will be issued. कि कोई इधर उधर अपना दिमाग लगाए ना. But don't you think MP should have an individual say on the data protection bill? Should they not? But नहीं, हम तो यहाँ whip लगाएंगे. In fact, many years ago, Manish Tiwari, who was a senior leader of the Indian National Congress, had proposed a private bill. And all of you know, private bill का क्या ही हाल होता है? Private bill तो कभी pass होता ही नहीं. A private bill is a bill introduced by anybody who's not a council of minister. So it includes opposition also, and it includes non-ministerial BJP MPs. ठीक है? एक और recommendation था लॉ कमीशन का कि जो 1/3 वाला अप्रूवल है मर्जर का, एग्जेप्ट का, वो हटा दो. ठीक है, वो हमने हटा दिया. टुडे यू ओनली हैव 2/3 मर्जर. ये पार्टी स्प्लिट अभी नहीं होता है, अभी 2/3 पे अप्रूवल होता है. बस ये एक लाइन ही तो लिखना है पूरे मीन्स में, बस इससे ऊपर तो कुछ लिखना ही नहीं. Now put all of this together in the structure that somebody stitched it up together and beautifully sent across. Now do you see all the points covered here? समझ में आया ये? Clear on this? Understood? That's the idea. Your entire anti-defection law therefore comes under 2 to 3 pages, covers pre and mains both. This is pre plus mains. Introduction is pre and plus mains. Context is mains. Judgments is mains. Advantage criticisms is mains. Conclusion is mains. बस खत्म हो गया anti-defection law. समझ में आया? Clear on this? PDF already upload कर दिया Telegram चैनल. Now NCRWC is National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution. Okay? And don't worry, the same class is being telecasted simultaneously on YouTube. So in case there's something that you missed out and I didn't repeat myself, you can go to the same exact space and you can look at it. I'll just put the YouTube link also so that you can access it and have a look. ठीक है? तो ये मैं डाल देता हूँ. ठीक है? ये टेलीग्राम चैनल का लिंक भी डाल दूंगा मैं. ठीक है? On this? Okay. All right. तो आराम से you can revise. Clear? हो गया? Good. ये देखो 2013 में क्वेश्चन भी आया था जो अचल चचा ने पूछा. One of the most beautiful quotes, I think. Best argument against democracy: the 5-minute conversation with the average voter. Okay. Understood this? Right. The role of individual MPs and has diminished over the years. ये देखो मैं question दिखा देता हूँ. And as a result, healthy constructive debates on policy issues are not witnessed. How far can this be attributed to anti-defection law, which was legislated for a different intention? अनुराधा सुन लिया है मैंने, मैं डाल दूंगा वीडियो. ठीक है? Clear on this? Look at this question. Can this question now be answered through a subdivision method? Break it into 4-5 sub questions. Why was anti-defection law enacted? How does anti-defection law curb individualism of MPs? What can be done to make anti-defection law better? हो गया आंसर, खत्म. 3 question done. Clear on this? बस. And सारा content आपको एक जगह मिल गया. मुश्किल है नहीं ना? फिर ठीक है. गुड. अब आ जाओ these 3 words called alternate dispute resolution. This basically means नहीं मुझे कोर्ट में नहीं जाना, because कोर्ट का the average light of speed in an Indian court is 10 साल. आपने प्रॉपर्टी केसेस देखे है ना? Grandchild is fighting the case of property of great grandfather, है ना? उसमें it's a very long process, it's very expensive. हमारा वकील लोग पैसा खा लेते हैं, फिर बहुत टाइम लगता है. It's difficult. Yes. तो हमने सोचा कि क्यों ना लेट्स कम अप विद सम वेज थ्रू विच वी कैन सचिन 38 years तू 38 years का है. अच्छा मतलब फैमिली में होगा ऐसा. हाँ सी पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस कैसे हुआ कुछ. हाँ ओके. सिद्धार्थ 12 बचपन से लड़ रहा है सिद्धार्थ केस. ओके. धर्मेंद्र ओके 15 years. All right. Okay. Right. समझ गए. Yes. So how do we essentially do this? We do this in a larger ecosystem and we figure out the larger the structure for it and the part of it. Very simply done. ठीक है. Introduction. Why do you need alternate dispute resolution? Look at some key legal provisions on it. We have the Arbitration and Conciliation Act and amendment to it in 2019. Okay. We have Lok Adalats, family courts and Gram Nyayalaya. हम ये सब कर रहे हैं. मेंस के लिए आप डेटा रेडी कर लेना. पेंडेंसी ऑफ केसेस. करेक्ट. अब आप पूछोगे सर ये डेटा कहाँ मिलेगा. यस और नो. ये डेटा कहाँ मिलेगा. Can anyone tell me where are you want to find the data on pendency of cases? PRS, ADR, very good. India at 75, excellent Monal, very good. Indigo at 75, but इसलिए Indigo at 75. अच्छा India, okay. India at 75. Yes. नालसार वेबसाइट, okay. ठीक. इनमें से एक कहीं पे भी. You can always look at the economic survey. You will find every year the data on how much is the pending. ठीक है. अब ये सेक्टर देखो क्यों है. Equity, access and excellence. दिखा देते हैं कैसे करेंगे. You need special cases because women. Let's understand this from a gender perspective. If you have general courts, if you don't have women-specific courts, if you don't have family courts, it becomes very difficult for women to attend those cases. And family courts require immediate attention. Remember last week there were a couple of editorials on rising cases of domestic violence and gender violence. अभी तुम नॉर्मल कोर्ट में लेके जाओगे तो इसमें सालों साल लग जाएंगे. लेकिन जेंडर वायलेंस, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस में अभी का अभी अर्जेंटली हमको रिस्पॉन्स चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाई वी नीड अ डेडिकेटेड कोर्ट. सेकंड, लोकेशन. अब फॉर एग्जांपल आई लिव इन दरभंगा जिला. फ्रॉम दरभंगा जिला आई हैव टू फाइल अ केस. तो मैं क्या पटना हाई कोर्ट आऊंगा रोज? नहीं आऊंगा ना. डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट आऊंगा रोज? नहीं ना. फिर सो आई नीड समथिंग लोकल. सॉल्व्स द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ रूरल वर्सेस अर्बन. एंड थर्ड, अफोर्डेबिलिटी. थिंक अबाउट इट. तुम एक सिविल कोर्ट में केस फाइल करोगे जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में जाएगा, फिर हाई कोर्ट में जाएगा, फिर सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाएगा. लॉयर तुमसे ऑन एन एवरेज 5,000 रुपीज पर केस लेगा. तो तुम्हारा सारा इनकम वकील के पास चला जाएगा, मेरे पास आ जाएगा. तो ऐसा नहीं कर. क्लियर ऑन दिस? अंडरस्टूड? गुड. Access, you would remember, is caste and religion. Unfortunately, we do not have dedicated courts for this, where you could look at specific. For example, one of the recommendations for prevention of atrocities against SC/ST Act is have a dedicated court on caste cases, have a dedicated court on religious persecutions. वो सब नहीं है हमारे पास. अब देखो excellence में देखो हमें क्या करना है. भाई एक legal system में कौन होता है? A person who's a litigator, the complainant. सेकेंड इज द कोर्ट जहां पे ये हो रहा है. तीसरा लॉयर, कैसे बेटर करें. द लिटिगेटर हैज टू बी मेड मोर अवेयर. यू हैव टू सेट अप मोर नंबर ऑफ कोर्ट्स एंड इक्विप देम विद बेटर फैसिलिटीज. गेट मोर पर्सनल. यस. गेट एक्सपर्टाइज्ड रिसोर्सेज. यस. एंड लॉयर्स मस्ट ऑल्सो बी ट्रेन्ड and must also be given incentives to opt for alternate dispute resolutions. Then you can start building on, do your research and get into each of these. Conclusion क्या है? लॉ कमीशन की रिपोर्ट देख लो 2009 की. वो कहता है it's less expensive, less time consuming, we should adapt it, free from technicalities, and parties are free to discuss their differences. बैठ के बात ही तो कर रहे हैं. कोर्ट का प्रोसीजर नहीं है कि माय लॉर्ड करना है, मेड प्लीज दिस ऑनरेबल क्लोड करना है, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ जस्टिस इक्विटी गुड कॉन्शियंस करना है. ये सब कुछ नहीं करना. क्लियर ऑन दिस? एंड यहाँ पे कोई हारता जीतता नहीं है, क्योंकि हार की जीतने वाले को बेवकूफ कहते हैं, बाजीगर नहीं कहते. ठीक है, तो ये हार जीत में जाना ही नहीं है. 3 Idiots देखना है. क्लियर ऑन दिस? समझ में आया? Understood? So your task for this week is build a consolidated note, and sir will not charge from students, does no discount. ठीक है? So build a consolidated note on alternate dispute resolutions. अब तुमको होमवर्क मिल गया अपना. क्लियर? Because next week में मैं इसको पूरा डिटेल में कराऊंगा. समझ में आया? ठीक है? क्लियर? ओके. Now let's quickly look at some specific points of news which were there. Solar eclipse, है ना, सूर्य ग्रहण. मैं कल वाटर डे में भी इसके बारे में बात कर रहा था. Please know what is an annual solar eclipse. It is a solar eclipse is witnessed when the moon is aligned between sun and earth. बहुत बड़ा sun, छोटा moon और earth, blocking the light received from earth and sun. An annual solar eclipse, on the other hand, happens when the moon is furthest from the earth, because of which it looks smaller and it does not block the entire view of the sun, creating a ring of fire. समझ में आया? ये पास है, ये दूर है. ठीक है? सिंपल. ये मैंने किधर से चिपकाया है? ये मैंने चिपकाया है इंडियन एक्सप्रेस एक्सप्लेन. Every Sunday, I go through the last 7 days of Indian Express Explained. Pick it up. इससे better sauce नहीं है. समझ में आया? June 20, or the day of the summer solstice, is characterized by a great amount of energy received from the sun. ठीक है? Solar eclipse is a rare annular eclipse that occurs once every 1 or 2 years and coincides with the northern hemisphere's longest day of the year, called summer solstice. ऐसे समर सोलिस्टिस होता है, ऐसे विंटर सोलिस्टिस भी होता है. लाइक अ सोलर एक्लिप्स, अ सेकंड सोलिस्टिस हैपेंस ईच डे इन दिसंबर. समझ में आया? क्लियर? सोलिस्टिस का मतलब क्या होता है? सूर्य वहीं, सन स्टैंड स्टिल इन लैटिन. ठीक, इतना बहुत है ज्योग्राफी के प्रीलिम्स के लिए. यस और नो? इससे बाहर क्या ही पूछेंगे? यस. If you remember the quiz that I had given you yesterday on water day, मैंने क्या चेंज करा था? ये चेंज करा था मैंने. farthest की जगह what did I do? nearest. Yes, very good. ठीक है? Excellent. Yoga day, congratulations. Coinciding with summer solstice. अब समझ में आया योगा डे को 21 जून को क्यों मनाते हैं? Is observed as the International Yoga Day, recognizing many benefits of the ancient Indian practice of yoga. The year 2020 marks the 6th International Yoga Day. Theme है yoga for health, yoga for home. Lockdown है तो घर में बैठ के आसन करो. Clear? Okay? Clear? समझ में आया? Okay. Good. मैं इसके ऊपर मैं नहीं बता सकता, मेरा भी ईमान है, मैं आसन थोड़ी ना करके दिखाऊंगा आपको. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सेक्शन 309 ऑफ द इंडियन पीनल कोड. इन द लार्जर कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द अनटाइमली डिमाइस ऑफ सुशांत सिंह राजपूत, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस. ये क्या कहता है? ये कहता है अटेम्प्ट टू सुसाइड. नाउ यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, सुसाइड हैज 2 repercussions. If you are successful, then the person is dead. Not successful, then the person is alive. If the person is dead, there's obviously nothing you can do, because this is not Game of Thrones. What is dead may never die. Okay? Yes, I know, I heard. And if you are not successful, तो हमारे पास कानून है. There is a law that says, "Sir, just give me 2 minutes. Let me finish this. Please don't interrupt the class." And put it in the question box, please. If you're talking about somebody who attempts suicide, तो हमारा लॉ ये है कि तूने कैसे अपने आप को मारने का गलती किया. So if somebody is so fed up with life and they want to commit suicide and they're not successful, just imagine what we do to them. हम उनको जेल में डाल देते हैं. As it is, they were very upset with life. Now they wake up in jail. तो इसलिए हमने कहा यार इसको चेंज करना चाहिए. Clear? So anyone who survives an attempted suicide can be booked under 309 IPC, which deals with attempt to suicide. बहुत important बात है. This section has not been removed. It has not been repealed. This section continues to remain in the IPC. See, IPC is a criminal law. जिस तरह लोहा लोहे को काटता है, लॉ को काटता है. Hence, law plus law is equal to law. Clear on this? जिस तरह लोहा लोहे को काटता है, उसी तरह लॉ को काटता है. तो IPC तो आपको पता है 1860 का है, करेक्ट? तो हमने 2017 में नेशनल मेंटल हेल्थ केयर एक्ट पास करा था, which came into force in 2018. Because of this, हमने एक प्रोविजन ऐड करा जिससे इसका स्कोप रिड्यूस कर दिया. Now understand this very carefully. The Mental Health Care Act says, as much as possible, please understand this, as much as possible, treat everyone who tries to commit suicide as somebody who needs mental health, who needs support. इसका मतलब आप अज्यूम नहीं करोगे कि वो क्रिमिनल है. That does not mean कि वो क्रिमिनल नहीं है. So the police still can book people under section 309 and unfortunately they have been doing so. समझ में आ? Clear on this? In a lot of states in India, couples who run away उनको करते और वो वैसे सुसाइड करने की कोशिश करते नहीं हो पाता तो उनको 309 में बुक कर देते. Clear? 90% of the chance you should not be booked because somebody is facing an issue. 10%, yeah. So now do you understand the law? Is the law clear now? Section 309 is not repealed. It has just been diluted. Okay? So in the coming week, I would want to do a consolidated note structure on mental health care as well. है ना? तो इसमें हम सारी चीजें एक जगह कर देंगे. Just for context, in 1971, Law Commission in its 42nd report had also recommended the repealing of Section 309. एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट भी था गौरी ज्ञान कौर वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब 1996 में. उसमें भी इन्होंने कहा था, we uphold the validity of Section 309. So सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने हम इसको डिलीट नहीं करना चाहते. It is constitutional. There is nothing wrong with it. But 2008, Law Commission in its 210th report had said कि try to decriminalize it and don't respond it with punishment but medical and psychiatric care. Ujjwal, why? Because they said there are chances where people would be abusing the law. है ना? ये भी तो हो सकता है कि मतलब I might sound like a very bad guy saying this, but देखो law है तो chance of abuse भी है. तो चलो let us try to harm myself in a way that I don't die but I create enough sympathy तो मेरा काम हो जाए. तो देखो you have to cater to all elements of the law. Clear? All elements of the law. Having said that, I hope on a more serious note, I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're mentally healthy as well as you're physically healthy. If you are feeling certain problems, please speak to somebody professional. Please get some help. कोई शर्म नहीं आनी चाहिए इसमें. अगर एंजाइटी हो रहा है, डिप्रेशन हो रहा है, अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, कोई भी इशू, बात करो. कोई खराबी नहीं. जैसे बुखार होता है वैसे एंजाइटी होता है. डिजीज है, प्रॉब्लम है, सॉल्व हो जाए. दवाई अलग है लेकिन सॉल्व जरूर हो जाए. क्लियर ऑन दिस? समझ में आया ये? क्लियर? So are you trying to say समोसा मत खाओ मतलब क्या है? सर आप प्री और मेंस क्वालिफाइड हैं? नहीं 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 नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं शिवम, मैंने तो लाइफ में कभी भी कोई एग्जाम नहीं क्लियर करा। सॉरी यार शिवम। नहीं, मैं तो ऐसे ही आ गया। हाँ, मेरे को सपना आता है रोज। हाँ शिवम। चलो, डेक्सामेथासोन। चलो ठीक है, क्या है? कुछ नहीं है, इट इज एन एंटी इंफ्लेमेटरी ड्रग। ये प्री के लिए ना एक साइड में फैक्टर्स बना लेना इससे, ठीक है? फैक्टर्स, ठीक है? It's an anti-inflammatory drug commonly used to treat conditions in the body's immune system, and in which the body's immune system doesn't function properly and causes inflammation and tissue damage. ठीक है? ये largely जो था ये this has been in the news because it is one of our the newer drugs, primarily because it is cheap. इसका एक बहुत मेजर इफेक्ट है, साइड इफेक्ट ये कि इन्फ्लेमेशन होता है और टिश्यू reduces the production of chemicals that cause inflammation and also reduces the activity of the immune system by affecting the way white blood cells function. ठीक है, there's a trial going on called the recovery trial. It's reported that it reduces death rates. इसका कोई confirmed proof नहीं है, किसमें कोई ICMR approval नहीं मिला है. Clear on this? ठीक है, ओके, ऑलराइट. TrueNat, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है because TrueNat is now being used as an ICMR approved test. Again, factoid. It was originally developed for detecting tuberculosis. Okay, Donald Trump is new here and thanks Donald Trump. अपना नाम रखने में क्या दिक्कत है बाबा तुमको? ऐसा क्या हो जाएगा, है ना? वो Donald Trump, have you met Putin? You guys are best friends. All right. Okay. Your name is उद्यान से, इतना अच्छा नाम है उद्यान, तेरे नाम पे तो हम स्कीम भी बना सकते हैं, राष्ट्रीय उद्यान योजना, है ना? तो ध्यान रखना, अच्छा नाम क्यों कर रहे? एक वो अंधेरा का एक सम्राट किल्विश भी है हमारी क्लास में, उसका बचपन शक्तिमान ही नहीं गया उसका लाइफ में, है ना? तो हाँ देखो, ये देखो ये देखो ये देखो, दिख गया? हाँ ये. So TrueNat is originally developed for detecting tuberculosis, which is used. It is now being currently used for coronavirus pandemic only for screening. अब screening के साथ testing में भी use होगा. The SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the name of the virus, which causes COVID, which is the name of the disease, इसमें DNA नहीं होता है, इसमें RNA molecule होता है, which is something we know for a very long time. ठीक है? Now TrueNat is nothing but a chip-based battery-operated RT-PCR kit. It could initially only identify the E gene, but now they're equipped to detect the RDRP enzyme, which is found in the viral RNA. Hence, the ICMR has ruled that these tests can be used as a final confirmation of the test. ठीक है? Machine is portable and it is obviously costing less. ठीक है? Clear, समझ में आ गया? All right. हाँ, this is important. Just give me 2 minutes, थोड़ा सा. ये सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के बारे में लोग मुझे बहुत सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, मैं तुरंत जल्दी बता देता हूँ. And I will do a full consolidated structure on USC reforms also this week. ठीक है भाई? UNSC comprises of 15 members, ये सबको आता है. 5 permanent members, China, France, Russia, UK and US, and 10 non-permanent members who are elected by the General Assembly. General Assembly is like the Parliament of the UN. ठीक है? The non-permanent members are elected for 2 years term. So every year the General Assembly elects 5 non-permanent members out of 10. ये थोड़ा राज्यसभा के टाइप है कि हर 2 साल में चेंज होता है. These 10 seats are distributed across the regions of the world, 5 for Asia and Africa, 1 for Eastern Europe, 2 for Latin America and Caribbean, LAC जिसको बोलते हैं, and 2 for Western European and other countries. ठीक है? Asia, 3 are for Africa and 2 are for Asia. हम इतना खुश हो रहे हैं ना? India is the only candidate for the vacancy of Asia Pacific. हम uncontested जीते हैं. This candidature was endorsed unanimously by the Asia Pacific Group, which comprises of 55 countries, including Pakistan and China last year. बस इलेक्शन कैसे होता है, कौन पार्ट लेता है और इंडिया कैसे जीता, ठीक है, क्लियर। और एक छोटी सी चीज मैंने और डिस्कस करनी थी, अखोनी, a really good Netflix movie, but also pronounced as Akhoni, is a fermented soybean of Nagaland, known for its distinctive flavor and, ठीक है, ओके, अंडरस्टूड, ओके। सो हर एरिया से हम सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के नॉन परमानेंट मेंबर में लोग भेजते हैं, हर एरिया आपस में डिसाइड करते हैं कि आज इसको भेजेंगे, कल इसको भेजेंगे। सो एशिया स्पेसिफिक की तरफ से इंडिया को हमने फाइनल करा था, ठीक है, क्लियर ऑन दिस, ओके। द मूवी इज रियली गुड, समिट, वेरी नाइस, समिट खेल लूं। सो यूपीएससी समिट होगा, उसके बाद आई लुक एट क्वेश्चंस आल्सो, ठीक है। दिस इज अ समिट 26, 27, 28, इसमें मैं भी बोलूंगा कुछ। ये सब देखो, such amazing people are coming. प्रणब मुखर्जी सर, कपिल देव सर, शशि थरूर सर, तो डिक्शनरी लेके बैठना। जयराम सर, who's one of the finest parliamentarians. Ma'am Kiran Bedi, an exceptional police officer. Rajkumar Rao, an actor par excellence. T.P. Agarwal sir, Armstrong Parliament, does extraordinary work in the Northeast. Prashant Nair, KSI and DC, very dynamic officer. Ma'am Rupa DM, known for her work in the prisons and known for her incredible work in Karnataka, I think, right? Sanjutka Parashar, she's an IPS again, I think in the south, in the east. She's posted in the east. And they're going to take a session. They're not teaching as such, but they're going to cover it. Vipul Pandey, Forest Services, very popular on Twitter and does a great job. Chavi Raja was one of the India's most educated sarpanches. Divekar, iska मैं definitely attend करूँगा because dietitian. So yeah, they're not going to teach full time, but they're taking one session each. इसके अलावा अपन लोग भी हैं और थोड़े से हमारे younger achievers भी हैं. Tina, Athar, Junaid, Soumya, Anand, Nandini, Nishant, Nurul, all of these are young selections to the services. Very bright, very talented. They always have their insights. All of these guys, one thing I like about all of these guys is that they're very honest about what they talk about. ये इधर की बात नहीं करते हैं, and they're good. ठीक है, clear? झांकी टाइप ही है। हाँ, मैं कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को अच्छा लगा तो मैं कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को बोला है ना है तो करना पड़ेगा। सॉरी तनवीर, बुरा लगा तो सॉरी यार, क्या कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, सॉरी यार। फ्री क्लास लेना है तो मैं कर लूँ ना, थैंक्स ना यार, पक्का, नहीं तो फिर कैसे चलेगा। बाकी ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव पीपल, पैनल अपने अनअकैडमी वाले सब लोग हैं। वर्मा सर है, कुणाल सर तो इज एन अथॉरिटी ऑन इकोनॉमिक्स, मैं भी मेरा फोटो चेंज नहीं कर रहे ये लोग। अरोड़ा साहब हैं, अवधेश साहब हैं और दीपांशु साहब हैं, ठीक है, क्लियर। हाँ, मतलब ऑनेस्ट है यार, मतलब अगर मैं नहीं करूंगा तो फिर कैसे चलेगा। स्पेशल क्लास लेना है ना तो प्रमोशन करना पड़ता है, हम सबके भी बॉसेस होते हैं ना बेटा, इसलिए, ठीक है। सर्किट का रिकॉर्डिंग होगा, ठीक है, क्लियर। सो यू कैन रजिस्टर ऑन द समिट, वो मैंने लिंक डाल दिया है। लुक एट सम ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस आल्सो एंड जस्ट टेक अबाउट 5-10 minutes and then I'll let you go. No, write GS answers the way you write PSI answers. COVID-19 video is coming. Anti-defection law notes on Telegram is enough. शीतल, रिजाइन कर रहे हो तो मतलब वॉलंटरी, अगर देखो हरकतों में प्रॉब्लम है तो दोनों सेम है। CGP Grey, Himani, CGP Grey, ये अच्छा क्वेश्चन है। The video is called CGP Grey is the channel, so you can search this. Yeah, yesterday's question I'll take this evening at 9:15. Anybody can initiate no confidence motion. Nope. 20 तो केस है यार तरुण, कंटेम्प्रेरी और कन्वेंशनल मिला के 20 केस तो याद हो ही जाएंगे। उत्कर्ष इसको जरा दोबारा पूछा, आई डोंट गेट द फुल क्वेश्चन हियर. Okay. So recommendation of ECI is obviously binding, but the president can take its own time to finally give the disqualification order. Second, ECI has a political background or not is something which is entirely political. इसमें कुछ कह नहीं सकते, ऐसे तो हर चीज political होता है. ठीक है, एक बार एंटी डिफेक्शन का लॉ वीडियो फिर से देखो, डाउट्स एक बार सारे लेके आओ. ठीक है, आई विल डू अ सेपरेट. देखो एक काम करो ना, बहुत सारे डाउट्स हैं एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ को लेके. आई कैन सी दैट मोस्ट ऑफ इट इज नॉट बीइंग डन फॉर यू. व्हाट आई डू इज आई मेक अ ओके, हाउ अबाउट दिस, एक काम करें, यस और नो में जवाब दे दो. एक वो अपनी पॉलिटी प्रीलिम्स प्रोग्राम तो चल ही रहा है, करेक्ट? यस. इसमें एक प्रॉपर एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ का मैं वीडियो बना के डाल दूं यूट्यूब पे, सब क्लैरिफाई कर दूंगा एक बार. उसमें तुम कमेंट में डाउट लिख लेना, मैं जवाब दे दूंगा. ठीक है, सब क्लियर हो जाएगा तुम्हारा कि ये बैकिंग है कि नहीं है, कैसे चलता है, क्या नहीं होता है. ठीक है, बिकॉज आई कैन सी आउट ऑफ द 80 क्वेश्चन 60 क्वेश्चन आर एंटी डिफेक्शन. आई विल आंसर ऑल ऑफ देम. ठीक है, मैं कर वी कैन अमेंड आईपीसी. अब नहीं किया तो नहीं किया यार. नो. Larger question on mental health, yes, but specifically on section 309, no. Do I need to know about nuance? If yes, then any law made on it? Yes, you need to know nuance. Thank you, Kuldeep, for the need of the hour, बेटा. But मैं तो तभी कराऊंगा ना जब न्यूज़पेपर में आएगा, और नहीं आएगा तो मैं बाद में. वैसे भी इशू नोट्स तो बनाए रहा हूँ, उसमें पुलिस रिफॉर्म्स तो है. ठीक है. Yes, जय, प्लीज. Yes, Pratik, I will upload the mental health thing again and I'll write a note also. Okay. Saket, look at the Indo-China wala water week, उसमें तुमको IR मिल जाएगा. Not really, Kodumbalum doesn't seem very likely. हाँ शिवानी, मैं थोड़ा पॉलिटी प्रेजेंट की वीडियो अब थोड़ा जल्दी करके डालता हूँ. ठीक है. Pankaj, I'll just have a look at the answer structure. उनके इंडियन पार्ट को नेपाल बाउंड्री में लाया है. ठीक, अब इंडिया लीगी एक्शन तब हम डिस्कस करेंगे, है ना. जस्ट गिव मी 1 सेकंड. दिस इज अर्जेंट. हेलो, हाँ 2 मिनट दीजिए, मैं आ रहा हूँ, गेट पे आ रहा हूँ. 2 मिनट दीजिए. जोमैटो नहीं है, कारपेंटर है. काम था साहब को कुछ करा. Zomato. How presumptuous of you guys. Oh, I'm hurt. Okay. ठीक है. Done. Most of the questions are this only. बाकी है. हाँ. Those of you need to get in touch. Name, email ID, Telegram channel, and anybody here who's looking to buy a course. That's the yes, Delhi only. That's the discount code. ठीक है. शाम को मिलते हैं 9:15 बजे. Water day. Yes. Okay. All right. ठीक है. Great. Cover हो गया. इसको consolidate करो. Put it all together. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday for Water week. I'll see you tonight at 9:15 for Water day. ठीक है. Okay. प्लस का क्लास कब लेता है? मैं तेरा दोस्त नहीं हूँ भाई, ऐसे मत पूछ यार. मतलब इतना क्या है यार शिवम, लेता है क्या होता है यार, ऐसे क्या होता है? ठीक से बात करना यार, ऐसे नहीं करते बेटा. शिवम जी सेंड मी अ टेक्स्ट ऑन टेलीग्राम एंड आई गेट बैक. ठीक है. ओके. सॉरी यार. ओके बेटा, वाटर डे इज ऑन अनअकैडमी ओनली. वो यूपीएससी टेस्ट सीरीज वाला जो है T20 टेलीग्राम चैनल देख लो. सॉरी. ठीक है. और एथिक्स क्लासेस, यस आई विल अनाउंस देम टुमारो. अभी सब लोग समिट में बहुत बिजी है, तो हम विल गेट इट डन. ठीक है. Just drop me on Telegram message with your question. I'll get back to you then. ठीक है? Okay? ठीक है? All right. मैं सब आंसर कर दूंगा, सवाल भेज दो मुझे. ठीक है? All right. See you guys at 9:15 today and take care. Bye bye. See you.